we're going to go on with our questions. Let's move down. All right, now it says, make sure that you download and run the customer database refresh SQL file. Now, again, if you're at home, I do recommend having a separate database to work with stuff so that you don't get all your tables mishmashed. I know at the school you only have one database to work with, so there's not much you can do about it, but work with what you have. All right, so you'll notice the first two sections consist of only one question each. They're very quick, simple questions. So I just wanted to get those over with, and then we'll kind of focus on some of the more meaty content afterwards. So first question says, list the name concatenated of. So this is section 1, and I'm just going to put in the question. I'm going to copy paste that question right in there. All right. Now it says, for this query, since you don't need to output province name, you can just use province abbreviation MB from the foreign key column. So my point there would be that you know that in our customer, we have columns here. You can see that when we have a foreign key, it's automatically given a gray key icon here. And you'll also notice that my foreign key isn't the last column available in this customer list. It just made more sense to put it after the postal code because it has to do with the province and before country, because that's the way we write addresses. But it depends on how you want to design your database where that's going to be. The foreign key does not have to be the last column in a table. So keep an eye out for this gray key here, or unfold the keys column, have a look at this, and script key as create to new query editor window. So you have an opportunity to see some of how the foreign key was created. It's a little difficult to pick out where it is because we don't know what this alter table stuff is yet. But we're going to add a constraint. It's a foreign key, and you can see it references. So you notice that this looks just like the constraint when we use a create table constraint line, or a constraint line in our create table. So this describes our relationship here. So it's from the province abbreviation in our customer table to the province abbreviation in the province table, and you get a bit of a clearer idea of what that is at that time. Anyhow, so now you know what the foreign key is, and we could have hypothetically gone through and done it a more difficult way, which I'll do just because we're on the video and I have the time to demonstrate, and you can skip past if you don't need it. But for now, let's just look at selecting the name concatenated. So we're talking about the name of a customer. So we know cust is the beginning of the customer, but let's notice that IntelliSense really isn't helping us out when we put that prefix in yet. That's why I like to start with a select star and then from, and then whatever table I'm grabbing information from first, right? Then I start putting in the prefix, and you notice it fills in what I'm looking for in IntelliSense. I don't have to remember how necessarily the columns are named, because I can start typing cust L for last name and let IntelliSense finish it for me, so I can avoid making those errors. Now when we're talking about concatenation, the word concatenation means adding together strings, or putting one string onto the other, or appending strings. And of course when I do that, I don't have a proper column heading anymore, so I give it a new column name, customer name. Now I'm just going to check my output, because this is the proper way to do it. I see cust full name is what I have there. So I'm actually going to use the exact same output as what I see in the example to avoid making any mistakes. Then I have a street address and a postal code. So let's just see if I get those directly. Street, yes I do. And cust postal, yes I get it. Now that's part of the answer. You notice if I run this, I now see that I get 200 rows, and my results were supposed to get 2 rows. You can see this is the full output. If it's not the full output, though, the document says first X rows, you should have X rows. So what we're looking at here is the 2 rows exactly that we should get. So let's continue to read this question. List of all customers who live in the city of Brookings in Manitoba. Now, you got to pay attention to that question. So if I say where cust city equals Brookings, I will get the correct result. Notice I only get those 2. Well, our database currently happens to only have the city of Brookings in Manitoba. However, it is possible that there is a city by the same name elsewhere in the country. So there might be a Brookings in Ontario. There probably is a Brookings in Ontario, and a Brookings in PEI, and a Brookings in Saskatchewan. This town name might be in multiple provinces. And if we want this query to be reusable, we have to make sure that we're very specific about what we're looking for. So if we're looking for Brookings, Manitoba, then we should be asking about Manitoba as well. So we say and cust prov. Well, we don't have a province. Well, what do we do there? And then we have to look back at our data model. Where do we get the province from this? We have province abbreviation. Oh, I see. There must be a province abbreviation somewhere in here too. So I go prov abbrev. Now also, naturally, you can look over here for, where's my province, read through your list of fields and get to know them a little bit better. And then you say, well, prov abbrev equals what? Well, prov abbrev equals, I'm looking for Manitoba, and when I look at, again, just to double check, select star from province, and I look, I can see Manitoba's MB here. So that's my hint that I'm looking for Manitoba. Now that's something I kind of hinted at, was you can use a province abbreviation MB. That should have made it simpler for most people to do this question. So that one's done, right? However, what if we did want to use the slightly more complicated method to do this? Well, let me get the same select list, and let's do a little bit different, difference here. So let's go province, so we can get the province, and we're going to join. Remember, we talked about joins just recently, and we got to talk about how to join them. When we're joining tables, we do the parent table's primary key being equal to the child table's foreign key, which is usually named the same as the parent table's primary key. Now we have this problem with prov abbrev being ambiguous. We talked about ambiguous, but that's not really the purpose of this particular example. So we're going to say prov name equal to Manitoba. Because we've joined in the province table on that ID, the province name will also be Manitoba. Now we can also do this with a subquery, but again, not the focus, so I'm going to not go crazy on that. Now, if you need to take down this code or go over this code a little bit closer, do yourself a favor and pause the video, because I'm about to fold these up and take them off the screen. All right, so section 2. Let's grab the question from section 2. Section 2 says, get a list of names of all the cities in Manitoba where we have customers in the database. So far, so good. All the cities in Manitoba. Ensure there's no repeat values. Order the results by city name in descending order. And again, you can use the abbreviation MB here. So I'm just going to copy that in there. I might have to adjust it a little bit when I get there. Yeah, I do. So it'll put in a special character because that's where I had my dashes. Actually, you know what? I can indent those comments as well. So those are my little subpoints. Okay, select star from, it says all the cities in Manitoba where we have customers in the database. So let's have a look again at our data model. City. Well, I don't see anything in division or province about city, but if I look, there's customer city. So that's the only city field I have there. So I got to grab that from the customer table. All right. Cust city. And then it says, get the list of all names, the names of all cities where we have customers in the database. Okay. So if I do that by itself, I get all kinds of cities. Notice I still get 200 rows. It says down here in the bottom right. But I want to get only one value for each city. How many cities are there, right? Now it says order the results by city name in descending order. So order by cust city, again, descending. So far so good again. But now I also want to only get cities from Manitoba. So We have to put where after from. So where, city. Oh, right, it's province we got to look at. Prov abbreviation equal to, again, MB. Now, I'm hinting you in the workbook. You may not always get the hint, but just remember you can often use the ID instead of the full name of something when you're talking about a foreign key. Not always, but often, most of the time, much of the time. Okay, so now I've kind of reduced that down a little bit. You can see Winston-Salem's the first thing I see. I look back at my sample output, and so far I'm good, but it says first 8 rows, you should have 18 rows, and I look, and I see I have 19 rows. Hint, if you end up having 19 rows, you're missing something. I'm looking at ensure there are no repeat values, and to get the ensure there are no repeat values, here's what I mean by repeat values. You can see we have it ordered, right? So down here we actually have 2 customers who are in Brookings, and they're both showing a city. We only need the city Brookings to show once. So to ensure that, we put in distinct. And distinct will remove duplicate records from your output. And now you can see I only have 1 Brookings and a total of 18 rows. So question 2 is taken care of. So distinct is kind of like the key point in section 2 there.